In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. When the occurrence occurs.
Special characteristic of Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Sayyidina Abdul ibn Mas'ud's, may Allah be pleased with him, didactic story on his deathbed. Ibn Kathir cites a story on the authority of Ibn Asakir from Abu Zabiya that when Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, was lying on his deathbed, Sayyidina Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, paid him a visit, and the following conversation ensued. Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, what are you suffering from? Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, from my sins. Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, do you desire anything? Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, yes, Allah's mercy. Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, shall I call a doctor for you? Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, it is the doctor who has given me the ailment. Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, may I send you an allowance from the public treasury? Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, I have no need for it. Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, accept it, please. You are leaving daughters behind you, it will help them. Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, Surah An-Nisa, Ayah 2. You are worried about my daughters that they must not suffer from poverty. I have no such worry, because I have instructed them to recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night. I have heard the Messenger of Allah say, whoever recites Surah Al-Waqi'ah every night will never suffer from poverty. Ibn Kathir, after citing this story from Ibn Asakir, has supported it with other chains of transmitters and other sources. Horrors of the Day of Resurrection, when the imminent event of doom will occur. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 1. Ibn Kathir says Al-Waqi'ah is one of the names of the Day of Resurrection, because there is no room for doubt in its occurrence. It is real and will surely come to pass.
There is, at its occurrence, no denial.
There will be no one to deny its occurrence. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 2. The word katiba in this context is the verbal noun, like Athia and Akaba. The sense of the verse is that the news of the occurrence of this event cannot be a false news. Some authorities have taken the word katiba in the sense of taktib, to deny, and the meaning, in that case, is clear that no one can deny the fact that it will come to pass.
It will bring down some and raise up others.
It will be abasing some, exalting others. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 3. The verse means that the inevitable event referred to in the previous verse will bring about a great revolution in the lives of men, as is witnessed at the time of revolution of governments. The high and the mighty will be laid low, and the despised and downtrodden will be exalted. The poor become rich, and the rich become poor. This is how Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, interprets this statement. The purpose is to depict the horrors of the Day of Resurrection.
When the earth is shaken with convulsion.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 3, for the Tafsir.
And the mountains are broken down, crumbling.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 3, for the Tafsir.
And become dust dispersing.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 3, for the Tafsir.
And you become of three kinds.
Three categories of people on the Day of Resurrection, and you will be divided into three categories. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 7. Ibn Kathir says that people will be divided into three different categories on the Day of Resurrection. One group will be on the right side of Allah's throne, and they are those who were brought forth from the right side of the loin of Adam. These people will be given their ledgers of deeds in their right hands and will be taken to the right side of the divine throne. They are the inmates of paradise. The second category comprises those who will be placed to the left of Allah's throne. These are people who were brought forth from the left side of the loin of Adam. This category will be given their ledgers of deeds in their left hands and will be taken to the left side of the divine throne. They are the inhabitants of the fire. We seek refuge in Allah from their behavior pattern. The third category consists of Zadaqah and the foremost, who are described as Al-Muqarrab, and the fortunate believers who are granted special nearness to Allah. They will be placed in front of the divine throne. They include the messengers, the prophets, Siddiqin, martyrs, and the friends of Allah. They are fewer than those on the right side. Towards the end of the surah, the description of the three categories will be taken up again to mention that some signs start appearing right from the time of death of a person to indicate in which category he or she is going to fall.
Then the companions of the right. What are the companions of the right?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 7, for the Tafsir.
And the companions of the left. What are companions of the left?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 7, for the Tafsir.
And the forerunners, the forerunners.
And the foremost are the foremost. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 10, Imam al-Mahdi, may Allah have mercy on him, has recorded a tradition on the authority of Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqah, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Messenger of Allah asked the noble companions, may Allah be pleased with him, do you know who will be the first to be accommodated in the divine shade on the day of resurrection? The noble companions, may Allah be pleased with him, replied, Allah and his Messenger know best. The Messenger of Allah said, they are those who accept the truth when it is presented to them. When they are asked for the rights due from them, they fulfill them, and they judge about the matters of others as they would judge about themselves. Mujahid says this, Sabiqun, the foremost, refers to the prophets. Ibn Sirin says that it refers to early Muslims who performed their prayers facing the two Qiblas, namely Baytul Maqdis and Baytullah. Hassan and Qatadah say that in every ummah there will be a Sabiqun. Some of the commentators express the view that there are people who go first to the mosque. Ibn Kathir, may Allah have mercy on him, cites all these views and concludes that they are all correct and authentic in their own right. The opinions are not in conflict with one another, because as Sabiqun are those who must have been foremost in their invincible faith and righteous deeds in this world, and as such they would be the foremost in the hereafter in terms of reward which will befit their faith and good deeds.
Those are the ones brought near to Allah.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah Ayat 10 for the Tafsir.
In the gardens of pleasure.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah Ayat 10 for the Tafsir.
A large company of the former peoples.
Many from the earlier generations, and of a small number from the later ones. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13-14. The word Thulatan means a party, group, company. Samakshari says that Thulatan refers to a throng or a large number of people, who are awwal in earlier generations, and Akhiran, later ones. The words awwalan, earlier generations, and Akhiran, later ones, are used twice, first in connection with as Sabiqun, the foremost, who are favored with special divine nearness, and secondly, in connection with the Shabul Yam and the people of the right, or the general body of believers. In the case of the foremost, it is mentioned that there will be many from amongst the Awwalan, earlier generations, who will be categorized as the foremost, but from amongst the later generations, the number of the foremost will be smaller. As opposed to this, in the description of the people of the right, the word Thula, many, is applied to both earlier and later generations in the following words, many from the first generations and many from the later ones. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39-40. The question now is, who are earlier generations and later generations? In this connection, two views of the commentators have been recorded. The first view is that earlier generations include all the creation of Allah from the time of Adam to the time just prior to the advent of the Holy Prophet, and later generations include all the creation of Allah from the time of the advent of the Holy Prophet to the doomsday. This interpretation is recorded by Ibn Abi Haytham, may Allah have mercy on him, with a chain of transmitters from Mujahid and Hassan Basri. Ibn Jarir, may Allah be pleased with him, has preferred this interpretation. This interpretation has also been adopted in the Bayan al-Qur'an. This is supported by the prophetic tradition transmitted on the authority of Sayyidina Jabir ibn Asakir reports the tradition with his chain of transmitters thus. When the first pair of verses regarding the foremost was revealed, stating that they will comprise many from the first generations and of a small number from the later ones, Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13-14, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, inquired, O Messenger of Allah, will there be a larger number of the foremost from among the earlier generations and a small number from amongst us? For about a year, no revelation in this connection came down. A year later, verses Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39-40, many from the first generations and many from the later ones, were revealed. A messenger of Allah called Sayyidina Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, and said to him, O Umar, listen to what Allah has revealed, many from the first generations and many from the later ones. Behold, from Adam to me is one Thula, throng, and my Ummah is another Thula, throng. The theme of this tradition is supported by the tradition recorded by Imam Ahmad and Ibn Abi Haytham on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, that when verses Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13-14 were revealed, the companions, may Allah be pleased with him, found this painful, because they understood them to mean that the foremost believers from earlier nations are more numerous than those of this Ummah. As a result, verses Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 to 40 were revealed, and the Messenger of Allah stated, I hope that he will comprise a quarter of the inmates of paradise, a third of the inmates of paradise. Rather, you are half of the inmates of paradise, and will have a share in the other half. Ibn Kathir, thus, collectively, the majority of the inmates of paradise will be the followers of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. However, a question arises about both these traditions. The question is that verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 40 relates to the people of the right, while verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13 was about the foremost. Then, how can verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 40 remove the concern of the companions, may Allah be pleased with him, about verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13? Rule Ma'ani resolves the problem thus. The noble companions, may Allah be pleased with him in general, and Sayyidina Umar, may Allah be pleased with him in particular, were saddened by the verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13, presumably because they thought that the proportion of the later generations in the people of the right will be the same as it is in the foremost, and thus the later generations will be small in number even among the people of the right. From this point of view, they thought their number in relation to all the inmates of paradise, put together, will be very small. But when verses Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 to 40 were revealed, the point was clarified that collectively the majority of the inmates of paradise will be the followers of the Holy Prophet, even though the collective number of later generations in the category of the foremost may be smaller as compared to the previous nations, especially since a large number of the previous nations will comprise the prophets. In relation to them, it does not matter if the followers of the Holy Prophet are fewer. However, Ibn Kathir, Abu Hayyan, Qutubi, Rol, Ma'ani, Majari, and others prefer another interpretation. The earlier generations and the later generations imply, according to them, the earlier and the latter followers of the Holy Prophet Ummah. Earlier generations, in their view, are the companions, may Allah be pleased with him, of the Holy Prophet and their pupils, who are termed in a hadith as Qarul Quran, the best generation, and later generations include all those who came after them. As for the hadith narrated by Jabir quoted above from Ibn Kathir in support of the first interpretation, Ibn Kathir himself has expressed his reservation about its chain of transmitters. He writes, in its chain of transmission there is some defect. In support of his own interpretation, he quotes verses relating to Ummah of the Holy Prophet being the best of nations, as for instance, you are the best of nations. Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 110. Therefore, it is not possible that the foremost believers from earlier nations are more numerous than those of this Ummah. Thus many from the earlier generations refers to the earlier generation of this Ummah, and of a small number from the later generations refers to the later generation of this Ummah, from whom a small number will be included in the category of the foremost. In support of this view, Ibn Kathir has cited the statement of Sayyidina Hasan Basri, may Allah have mercy on him, as recorded by Ibn Abi Haytham, may Allah have mercy on him, to the effect that he recited the verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 10 about the foremost, and said, they have predeceased, but O Allah, make us from amongst the people of the right hand. In another statement, Sayyidina Hasan Basri, may Allah have mercy on him, is reported to have said in explanation of verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13, those foremost faith are all from this Ummah. Likewise, Muhammad ibn Sirin said in connection with verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13, that the scholars stated in hope that they, the foremost of earlier and later generations, will all be from amongst this Ummah. Rol Mahdi puts forward the following prophetic hadith with a good chain of transmitters in support of the second interpretation. Musaddad in his Musnad, Ibn al-Munhir, Tabarani, and Ibn Mardaya report with a good chain on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, that, while interpreting verses Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 to 40, many from the earlier generations and of a small number from the later ones, the Holy Prophet said, they are both from the Ummah. Many scholars of hadith report another prophetic tradition with a weak chain on the authority of Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him also. The wordings are, the earlier and the later generations are from my Ummah. From this point of view, verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 7 of this chapter, and you will be divided into 3 categories, addresses the Ummah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and all 3 categories will be from this Ummah. Majari has held the first interpretation as improbable, because according to the clear text of the Quran, this Ummah is the best and most honored of all nations. Therefore it is inconceivable that the foremost believers from earlier nations should be more numerous than those of this Ummah. The higher rank of this Ummah vis-a-vis the other nations is proved by the express text of the Holy Quran. The Quranic verse Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 110 reads, you are the best Ummah raised for the good of mankind. Verse Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 110 reads, "So that you should be witnesses over the people, and the messenger a witness to you." Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah and Darimi have recorded a narration on the authority of Say ibn Abbas ibn Hakim, may Allah be pleased with him, in which the Holy Prophet is reported to have said, "You are a complement to the 70 nations of the days of yore. You are the choicest one, and the most honorable one in the sight of Allah." Imam Bukhari, may Allah have mercy on him, narrates a tradition on the authority of Say ibn Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, in which the Messenger of Allah is reported to have said, "Will it please you if you are a quarter of the inmates of paradise?" The companions replied, "Yes, indeed, it would please us." The Messenger of Allah said, "By him in whose control is my life, I hope that you will comprise a half of the inmates of paradise." Mazari, Tirmidhi, Hakim and Bayhaqi report on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Messenger of Allah said, "The inmates of paradise will be ranged in ranks. 80 of them will be from this Ummah, and 40 from the rest of the nations." Tirmidhi, he has rated this tradition as Hasan and Hakim as Sahih. The ratio between this Ummah and other communities in paradise is given differently at different times, ranging between 1/3, 1/4, a half and 2/3. There is no conflict in the ratios mentioned on different occasions. That was based on the estimation of the Holy Prophet, which has been increasing at different times.
And a few of the later peoples.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 13 for the Tafsir.
On thrones woven with ornament.
The reward of as Sabbath 1. They will be sitting on thrones woven with gold. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 15. The word Majna, according to Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, as recorded by Ibn Jarir, Ibn Abi Hatim, Bayhaqi and others, means fabric woven or enwrought with gold thread. By immortal boys. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 17, meaning that the boys will never grow up, get old or change in shape. The preferred opinion is that the youths of paradise, like the fair damsels of paradise, will have been born in paradise. They will be the servants of the inmates of paradise. Hadith narratives indicate that there will be thousands of such servants for each of the inmates of paradise.
Reclining on them, facing each other.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 15 for the Tafsir.
There will circulate among them young boys made eternal.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 15 for the Tafsir.
With vessels, pitchers, and a cup of wine from a flowing spring.
With bowls and jugs and a goblet of pure wine. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 18. The word aqwa, plural of cub, refers to cups or glasses used for drinking. The word abarik, plural of ibrik, refers to jugs of sprouts. The word kas refers to a wine glass. The word main refers to the fact that the glasses will contain wine drawn from a flowing spring.
No headache will they have therefrom, nor will they be intoxicated.
From which they will neither suffer headache. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 19. The Arabic verb is derived from suda, which means headache. When worldly wine is taken in large quantity, it gives the drinker excruciating headache and makes him feel dizzy. The heavenly wine is free from such harmful effects, nor will they be intoxicated. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 19. The Arabic verb is derived from nas, the root meaning of which being the well became empty, all the water having been taken out of it. Here it means the spring of his brain or mind or senses became exhausted.
And fruit of what they select.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 19 for the Tafsir.
And the meat of fowl from whatever they desire.
And the meat of birds that they desire. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 21. It is recorded in a prophetic tradition that the inmates of paradise will get meat of whatever birds they desire, as and when they desire it.
And for them are fair women with large beautiful eyes.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 21 for the Tafsir.
The likenesses of pearls well protected.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 21 for the Tafsir.
As reward for what they used to do.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 21 for the Tafsir.
They will not hear therein ill speech or commission of sin.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 21 for the Tafsir.
Only a saying, peace, peace.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 21 for the Tafsir.
The companions of the right. What are the companions of the right?
The reward of those on the right. As for the people of the right, how lucky are the people of the right. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 27. The people of the right are initially the God-fearing and the righteous believers. Sinful believers will also join the people of the right, some through the sheer grace of Allah, and others will be forgiven through the intercession of a prophet or a friend of Allah. Some sinful believers will be punished for their sins, but after serving their punishment, they too will be purified and cleansed of the dross of their sins, after which they will join the people of the right, because the fire of the hell is not, in fact, a punishment, it is rather a way to cleanse him from the dross of his sins. Majari.
They will be among lote trees with thorns removed.
Amid lote trees with no thorns. Surah Al-Mujadila, Ayah 28. The word cedar refers to a lote tree and makdab refers to a tree having its thorns removed. It also means a tree having the branches bent because of abundance of its fruit. Unlike the lote trees of this world, the heavenly lote trees have a different description. Their fruits will be as large as the clay jugs, and their taste cannot be compared to those found in this world, as described in a hadith.
And banana trees layered with fruit.
And the trees of tul, having layers one upon the other. Surah Al-Qasas, Ayah 29. The word tul refers to banana tree, and mandad means clustered, fruits piled on top of each other, as in a bunch of bananas.
And shade extended.
And a shade spread all over. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 30. The Holy Prophet is reported to have said, as recorded in Sahihain, that in paradise there's a tree so large that a rider may travel for 100 years under its shade, but would not be able to pass it.
And water poured out.
And water poured forth. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 31. This means the water will be flowing constantly on the surface of the ground.
And fruit, abundant and varied.
And a lot of fruits. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 32. The word kathra, abounding, has two senses. There will be plenty of fruits, and there will be an uncountable variety in kinds of fruits.
Neither limited to season nor forbidden.
Neither interrupted in any season, nor prohibited. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 33. The word maktua means the fruits the supply of which is cut off at the end of the season. In this world most fruits are seasonal, some bear in summer, some in winter and others in rainy season. Once the season of the fruit is over, it ceases to be available. However, the supply of the fruits of paradise never runs out in any season. Rather, they will always be available for those who want to eat from them. Whenever these fruits are desired, they will be available and easy to grasp by Allah's power. The word mamnu'ah, prohibited, means that in this world there are caretakers appointed to look after the gardens, who stop and prohibit people from picking the fruits, but in the gardens of paradise there will be no such hindrance. The inmates will be able to pick them whenever they wish.
And upon beds raised high.
And mattresses of high quality. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 34. The word rash is the plural of furash, which means bed, couch, mattress. The word marfa lexically means upraised, elevated. The couches could be upraised or elevated for one of several reasons, because the place itself is high, because the mattresses will not be on the ground, but on the thrones or beds, or because the couches themselves will be thick and of high quality. Some exegetes have taken the word rash in the sense of women, because it is one of the meaning of furash is referred as furash, as in the prophetic tradition. The child belongs to the furash. The word furash refers to wife. This is corroborated by the characteristics of the women of paradise described in the forthcoming verses. In this case, the word marfu'ah would mean higher, ranking.
Indeed, we have produced the women of paradise in a new creation.
Surely we have created those females of fresh creation. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 35. The word insha means to create. The pronoun hunna refers to the women of paradise, although there is no mention of them in the immediately preceding verses. However, they have been mentioned in connection with the foremost and distantly foregoing verses. If the word furash in the foregoing verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 34 refers to the women of paradise, the antecedent of the pronoun is quite obvious. Likewise, the mention of beds, couches, thrones, and other delightful items gives the pronoun the context to refer to women. The meaning of the verse is, we have created the paradisiacal women in a special way. That is, the Awais are created without being born biologically, and the women of this world who will enter the paradise will also be reshaped in a way that the women who were ugly, dark-colored, or old in this world will be made beautiful, young, and graceful. It is recorded in Tirmidhi and Bayhaqi on the authority of Sayyid Ibn Anas that the Holy Prophet said in explanation of verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 35, that the women who are old, blear-eyed, with gray hair and ugly features in the world will be made beautiful and young in this new creation. Bayhaqi also reports from Sayyidah Aisha, may Allah be pleased with him, that an old lady asked the Messenger of Allah to pray to Allah that she may enter paradise. The Messenger of Allah said in a humorous way, "Old ladies will not enter paradise." Hearing this, the old lady got very sad, and according to some narrations, started weeping. The Messenger of Allah then explained that she would not be old when she would enter paradise. She would be transformed into a young beautiful woman. Then the Holy Prophet recited this verse, Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 35, Majari.
And made them virgins.
Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 36. The word of Karen, being the plural of Bikr, means virgins. The sense is the creation of the maidens of paradise will be of such a nature that, even after every sexual intercourse, they will remain like virgins.
Devoted to their husbands and of equal age.
Amorous to their husbands, Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 37. The word Yurab is the plural of Araba. This refers to a woman who loves her husband passionately and is his beloved, matching them in age. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 37. The word Atrab is the plural of Turb, meaning a person of equal age who played together with his mate in dust. The verse means that men and women will be made of equal ages in paradise. Some narrations report that they will be about 33 years old. Majari.
For the companions of the right who are.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 37 for the Tafsir.
A company of the former peoples.
Many from the earlier generations and many from the later ones. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 to 40. In connection with Sabiqun, the foremost two views of the commentators were quoted earlier as to the identity of the earlier and the later generations. If the earlier refers to the generations from Adam to the period just prior to the advent of the Holy Prophet, and the later generations refers to the Ummah of the Holy Prophet till the Day of Judgment, as some of the commentators have opined, then the verses would mean the people of the right will constitute a large party of believers and the righteous from all the previous communities combined together, while there will be a large party from the Ummah of the Holy Prophet alone. In this case, it is a great honor for the Ummah of the Holy Prophet that, despite the short period they lived in this world, they could be compared to all the previous communities who were headed by hundreds of thousands of prophets. Besides, the words many from the later generations has the scope of being larger in number than the many from the earlier generations. If we go by the second view of the commentators, who say that both earlier and later generations are from the Ummah of the Holy Prophet, then even the later generations of this Ummah will not be totally deprived of the foremost, though their number in later generations will be less. As for the people of the right, their number will be large in both earlier and later generations. This fact is proved by a hadith reported by Bukhari and Muslim from Sayyidina Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him, in which the Holy Prophet has said, "A group of my Ummah will always remain on the truth and dominant, unharmed by those who fail to support them and those who defy them, until the last hour begins."
And a company of the later peoples.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
And the companions of the left. What are the companions of the left?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
They will be in scorching fire and scalding water.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
And a shade of black smoke.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
Neither cool nor beneficial.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
Indeed, they were before that indulging in affluence.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
And they used to persist in the great violation.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
And they used to say, when we die and become dust and bones, are we indeed to be resurrected?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
And our forefathers as well?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
Say, O Muhammad, indeed, the former and later peoples.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
are to be gathered together for the appointment of a known day.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
Then indeed you, O those astray who are deniers,
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
will be eating from trees of zakum,
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
and filling with it your bellies,
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
and drinking on top of it from scalding water,
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
and will drink as the drinking of thirsty camels.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
That is their accommodation on the day of recompense.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 39 for the Tafsir.
We have created you, so why do you not believe?
Proof of the occurrence of the day of resurrection. Thus far the surah dealt with three categories of people on the plain of Hashir gathering. The verses so far describe the reward and punishment of these three groups. The current set of verses warn the deviant skeptics and atheists who completely deny the day of judgment and life after death, or set up partners to Allah in His worship. The verses purport to tear down the curtain of negligence and ignorance that has kept man in the dark. Whatever exists, or is coming into existence at the present time, or will come into existence in the future in this cosmic world is as a result of the creative power of Allah. He brings them into existence, retains them, and makes them subservient to man. The apparent causes of these events act as veils over reality. Had these veils been removed and man is able to witness the creation of these things directly without the mediation of these apparent causes, he will be forced to believe in Allah. However, Allah has made this world a venue of test. Therefore, whatever comes into existence comes under the veils of causes. Allah has, with His encompassing power and consummate wisdom, created a strong connection or relation between causes and effects. Wherever and whenever a secondary cause occurs, the effect necessarily follows. A casual observer assigns to every effect a secondary or extrinsic cause, thus straying into the philosophy of causes and effects. Man does not seem to realize that the whole system of cause and effect ends with Allah. He is the first or primary or intrinsic cause or cause of all causes musabbil asbab. It was explained earlier in Surah An-Najm that a natural order of cause and effect pervades the entire universe. Every cause, which is not itself primary, is traceable to some other cause and this to another and so on. But as the series of cause and effect in our finite world cannot be indefinite, it must terminate at some point. The final cause is, therefore, the author of the universe. It is this final cause towards which the present verses call our attention. We have created you, and why do you not appreciate it as true? So, tell me about the semen you drop in the wombs. Is it you who create it, or are we the creator? Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 57 to 59. With verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 57 begins a series of arguments in support of Allah's oneness and His power to raise the dead. The first argument in the current verse is taken from the very subtle and wonderful phenomenon of man's birth, starting with a drop of semen and developing into a full-fledged human being, the crown of all creation. Humans stop at thinking that male-female cohabitation in the process of their creation is the ultimate or real cause. Therefore, the Quran poses the question to them in verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 58, so, tell me about the semen you drop in the wombs. Is it you who create it, or are we the creator? In other words, a male plays a very insignificant biological role in the birth of a child in that he delivers a drop of microscopic semen in the womb of a female to combine with a microscopic ovum. Once this is done, it goes through several stages of growth and development without anyone, besides Allah, knowing what is happening. Eventually, it forms into a fetus with a bone structure. The skeleton is then clothed with flesh and skin. The soul is infused into it, and the little universe microcosm comes into being with various systems, the nutritive and digestive system, the blood and the circulatory system, a system of human senses, sight, touch, smell, hearing and taste and communication, and the ability to think and understand. Man thus becomes a moving factory, and in none of these biological processes he has any say. Neither of the parents, especially the mother in whose womb all this is taking place, knows whether the child is a boy or a girl, until it is born. The question is, who creates the child in the womb of the mother, creation after creation, within three darknesses, i.e. the darkness of belly, the darkness of womb, and the darkness of amniotic membrane? Who made it beautiful, gave it the power of hearing and sight? Who bestowed on it the faculty of thinking and comprehension? Only mentally blind person will fail to exclaim, "Blessed is Allah, the best of creators." The forthcoming verses end, "We have appointed the times of death among you, and we cannot be frustrated from replacing you with others like you, and creating you afresh in that form which you do not know." Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayahs 60-61. Death is the end of all physical life. This is the eternal law of Allah from which there is no escape. Allah predetermines the time of human death. Man has no choice in the matter of death, which frees the human soul from the fetters and shackles of its physical habitat. Allah has designated a particular point in time up to which he could live. But one should not remain lulled into a fancy that he would continue to enjoy power and his free will. Allah has the power to eliminate him any time and create another people in his place. This is the import of the words, "We have appointed the times of death among you, and we cannot be frustrated from replacing you with others like you." The concluding part of verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 61. And creating you afresh in that form which you do not know implies that Allah has the power to reshape you in a form unknown to you at the moment. It may happen either by one's turning into dust after death, or by his being metamorphosed into an animal shape, as it happened in the past nations. Some turned into monkeys and others into swine, by way of punishment. It is also possible that they might be transformed into stones or minerals. Creation of plants, sending down of rain, and creation of fire are proof of Allah's oneness. After referring to the birth of man from very insignificant beginning, the surah, from verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 63 onwards, proceeds to give a brief account of things upon which man's life on earth depends. There are three principal things upon which man's life in this world depends: food, water, and fire. The first thing is food, to which verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 63 refers.
Have you seen that which you emit?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 57, for the Tafsir.
Is it you who creates it, or are we the creator?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 57, for the Tafsir.
We have decreed death among you, and we are not to be outdone.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 57, for the Tafsir.
In that we will change your likenesses, and produce you in that form which you do not know.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 57, for the Tafsir.
And you have already known the first creation, so will you not remember?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 57, for the Tafsir.
And have you seen that seed which you sow?
Was lost in the secondary or extrinsic causes and lost sight of his real creator and master, the primary or intrinsic cause of his creation. This unawareness was unveiled in a particular way. In a similar style, the reality of his source of nourishment is explicated. Allah poses the question to man, "Indeed you till the land and plant the seeds, but who causes them to sprout and grow, you or Allah?" When considered carefully, we will come up with the answer that the farmer or tiller has a very limited role to play. He plows the land and fertilizes the soil with manure, and thus softens it so that if the seed germinates, it will not be hampered by the hard ground. All of man's efforts move around this point. Once the plant sprouts, he takes care of it in that direction. But man is not the primary cause of the shoots pushing forth from the seed, nor can he claim that he made the plant or tree. Therefore, we go back to the fundamental question: who caused the seed lying under heaps and heaps of sand to germinate and come out to the surface of the earth so beautifully, comprising untold benefits? There can be only one answer to this question: the all-encompassing power and the most wonderful creation of the Master Creator of the universe. Next to food, water is the most important thing upon which human life depends for its sustenance. Here too the Quran, in its inimitable style, poses the question: have you considered the water you drink? Did you send it down from the clouds, or did we send it? The answer is obvious: Allah. Fire plays a most important part in the life of man. Much of his physical comfort depends upon it. It is a thing of great utility. In this mechanistic age, life is inconceivable without the use of fire. No industry, trade, or travel is possible without it. The Quran again, in its unique and unparalleled style, poses the question: had you considered the fire you kindle? Did you make its timber to grow, or did we make it? Here too the answer is obvious: Allah. Of course, in both instances the Quranic answers are elaborate.
Is it you who makes it grow, or are we the grower?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
If we willed, we could make it dry debris, and you would remain in wonder.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
Saying, indeed, we are now in debt.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
Rather, we have been deprived.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
And have you seen the water that you drink?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
Is it you who brought it down from the clouds, or is it we who bring it down?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
If we willed, we could make it bitter. So why are you not grateful?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
And have you seen the fire that you ignite?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
Is it you who produced its tree, or are we the producer?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63 for the Tafsir.
We have made it a reminder and provision for the travelers.
Well, tell me about that seed which you sow, Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 63, in the matter of human creation, man. The last answer is summarized thus in verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 73. We have made it a reminder of our infinite power, and of the fire of hell, and a benefit for travelers in deserts. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 73. The word mukwin is derived from the infinitive ikwa, and it comes from the root word kiwel, which means waste, barren land, ruin or desert. Thus, the word mukwin means a traveler or a wayfarer of a desert who alights to prepare his meals. The verse purports to say that all these creations are the result of Allah's power and wisdom.
So exalt the name of your Lord, the Most Great.
So proclaim the purity of the name of your Lord, the Magnificent. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 74. The logical and rational conclusion of the above considerations should be for man to believe in the all-encompassing divine power and in his oneness, and declare the purity of the great Lord, for that is the way to express his gratitude.
Then I swear by the setting of the stars.
Sequencing of arguments. Preceding verses put forward rational arguments in support of life after death by inviting attention to Allah's infinite power. The current verses are meant to prove this fact by giving an authoritative reference, that is, the Quran. Allah swears to the greatness of the Quran. So I swear by the setting places of the stars. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 75. The words I swear are prefixed in the text by the particle no, which is not translated in the text, because it is idiomatically prefixed to oath, as for example la no by Allah. In pre-Islamic Arabic, we come across the idiomatic oath la wiabik no by your father. Some lexicologists say that the particle la is added only as an idiomatic expression zeta, which carries no sense, and others say that when the refutation of an addressee's hypothesis is intended, y la is used to signify that the assumption of the addressee is not correct, but the right thing is that which follows. The word moati is the plural of mawq and refers to the points or times when the star is set. Here, like in Surah An-Najm, by the star when it goes down to set. The oath of stars is qualified by their setting time. The wisdom underlying this is that when the stars set, their function seems to have been cut off from the horizon, and we witness effects of their vanishing. This is the proof of their perishability and dependence on divine power.
And indeed, it is an oath, if you could know, Most Great.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 75, for the Tafsir.
Indeed, it is a noble Quran.
It is surely the noble Quran recorded already in a protected book, i.e. the preserved tablet that is not touched except by the purified ones, the angels. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayat 77 to 79 verses constituted oath, and the current set of verses is the subject of the oath Jawab al-Qasam. The Quran is a noble and glorious book. The verse refutes the assumption of the pagans that this book has been forged by a human being, or that, God forbid, it is a speech inspired by the devil.
In a register well protected.
The phrase a protected book refers to law mahfuz, i.e. the preserved tablet.
None touch it except the purified.
That is not touched except by the purified ones. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayat 79. Two issues require clarification here. The commentators have different views about them, because the structure of verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 78, and has two possibilities grammatically. The first possibility is that the phrase that is not touched except by the purified ones is the qualification of the preserved tablet referred to in the previous verse. In this case, the purified ones can refer only to angels, and the phrase not touched cannot be taken in its literal sense of physical touch. It would rather mean being aware of. The sense of the verse would be that no one is aware of the preserved tablet and its contents except the purified angels. By this interpretation is adopted in Bayan-ul-Quran as well. The second possibility is that the phrase that is not touched except by the purified ones is taken as a qualification of the Quran referred to in the previous verse. In this case, the word Quran would refer to the scrolls or scripts in which it is written, and not touched will remain in its literal sense of referring to physical touch by hand, etc. The sense would be that the script of the Quran is not touched by anyone except by the purified angels who bring revelation to the Prophet. Since this interpretation does not need to take the word touch in its figurative sense, Qutubiyya and some other commentators have preferred this interpretation. Imam Malik, may Allah have mercy on him, says, the best interpretation of verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 77, and I have ever heard is what is mentioned in Surah Abba's verses. It is recorded in those scripts of the preserved tablet that are honored, exalted, purified, in the hands of those scribes who are honorable, righteous. The second issue that requires consideration in this verse is what is meant by the phrase the purified ones. A large group of the companions, their followers and leading authorities on Quranic commentary think that the referent of the pure ones are the angels who are purified of the dross and adulteration of sins, and who are innocent. This is the view of Say Ibn Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, said Ibn Jubair, may Allah be pleased with him, and of Say Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. Imam Malik has also adopted this view. Some of the commentators think that Quran refers to the copy of the holy book that is in our hands, and the referent of the word mutahharun, purified ones, are people free from minor impurity and major impurity. Minor impurity means to be without wudu, and minor impurity can be cleansed by making wudu or tayammum, cleaning with dust. Major impurity refers to the state of impurity, which is caused by sexual intercourse, lustful discharge of semen during sleep, and menstrual and postpartum discharges. Ghusl, having bath, is the only means of achieving purity from this state. This interpretation is placed on the text by Atta, Taus, Salim, and Muhammad Bakir. In this case, although verse that is not touched except by the purified ones. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 79, is a declarative sentence. It is in fact used in the sense of prohibiting human beings to touch the Quran without being free from the minor and major impurities. The person who wishes to touch the Quran needs to be purified of the visible as well as the invisible impurities by taking wudu, tayammum or ghusl, as required. Qutubiyya and Majari prefer this interpretation. In the incident of Say ibn Umar's, may Allah be pleased with him, embracing Islam, we come across the part of the story where he asked his sister to give him the pages of the Quran. She recited verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 79 of the surah, refused to give him the pages and said only the pure ones can touch it. As a result, he was forced to take a bath and then recite the contents of the pages. This incident also lends support to the last interpretation. The versions of the tradition that prohibit the impure people from touching the Quran are put forward by some authorities too are in favor of the last interpretation. However, since Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, Arias, may Allah be pleased with him, and others have a different view about the interpretation of this verse, as mentioned above, many scholars did not base the prohibition of touching the Quran without ablution on verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 79. Rather, the prohibition is established by the following traditions. Imam Malik, may Allah have mercy on him, cites as evidence the Holy Prophet's letter in his Muwatta which he wrote to Amr ibn Hazm. It contains the following statement: only a clean one may touch the Quran. Rule Ma'ani gives the following references: Musnad of Abdurazak, Ibn Abi Dawud and Ibn al-Munhir, Tabarani and Ibn Mardai record a tradition on the authority of Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Messenger of Allah said, only a clean one may touch the Quran. Some rulings about touching the Holy Quran. On the basis of the foregoing prophetic ahadith, the overwhelming majority of the Ummah and the four major schools concur that purity is a condition for the permissibility of touching the Holy Quran, and it is not allowed to touch it in a state of impurity. It means that before touching the Holy Quran, one must make sure that no najasa, i.e. things declared by Sharia as filth, is attached to one's hand, and that he or she is in the state of wudu and is not in the state of jamama, the state in which it is obligatory to take bath. The divergence of interpretation referred to earlier is only in connection with whether or not verse Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 79, can be the basis of such a prohibition. Some jurists think that the verse as well as the relevant traditions bear the same sense, hence they use them as supportive of each other in evidence of their ruling. Others, on account of divergence of interpretation among the companions, exercise precaution in using the Quranic text as evidence in support of their ruling. But because of the traditions, they ruled that touching the Quran without ablutions is impermissible. In sum, there are no differences in their rulings. The differences are only in support of evidence of these rulings. If the Quran is in a cover which is sewn or permanently attached to it in some way, it is not permitted, according to the four major schools, for an unclean person to touch it without ablutions. If, however, the Quran is covered in something that is not permanently attached to it, an unclean person may, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, touch it without ablutions. However, according to Imams Malik and Shafi'i, an unclean person is not permitted to touch it before taking ablutions. Mashari. If a person is wearing a garment, it is not lawful for him to touch the Quran with his sleeves or skirt if he is unclean. However, he may touch it with a handkerchief or a sheet. Mashari. Scholars have ruled it, which is proved by this very verse with greater force, that a person in the state of janaba, sexual defilement, and a woman in the state of menstruation or postpartum bleeding cannot recite it, even from memory, until bath has been taken, because if it is obligatory to honor the written letters of the Holy Quran by touching them only in the state of purity, its spoken words deserve the same honor with greater importance. The requirement of this honor should have been that even in the state of minor impurity a person should not be allowed to recite the Holy Quran. But say, Ibn Abbas and Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, report that the Holy Prophet recited the Quran without wudu. On this basis, the jurists have ruled that it is permissible to recite it without wudu. But in the case of major impurity, the rule will remain intact. Mashari.
It is a revelation from the Lord of the worlds.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 79, for the Tafsir.
Then is it to this statement that you are indifferent?
Is it this discourse that you take lightly? Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 81. The word mudhinan is the plural of mudhin, being the active participle for maidhin, which literally means to apply or rub oil on the body. When oil is applied or rubbed on the body, the muscles are relaxed, and parts of the body become soft and supple. By extension, the word is employed in the sense of showing flexibility and softness on inappropriate occasions. Hence, it is used in the sense of hypocrisy.
And make the thanks for your provision that you deny the provider?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayah 81, for the Tafsir.
Then why, when the soul at death reaches the throat?
In the current verse, the word is used in the sense of hypocrisy and rejection of Allah's verses carelessly. So why do you not interfere when the soul of the dying person reaches the throat, and you are watching, and we are closer to him than you, but you do not perceive? So if you are not going to be recompensed in the hereafter for your deeds, then why do you not bring the soul back if you are truthful? Surah Al-Waqi'ah, ayat 83 to 87. The preceding verses prove two facts through rational arguments, and by swearing an oath by the falling stars, that the Holy Quran is the word of Allah. Neither jinn nor devil can ever tamper with it. Everything it contains is the truth, and one of the most fundamental articles of faith enshrined in the Quran is the day of resurrection and reckoning. Towards the end of the passage, it is mentioned that the infidels and idolaters, in spite of clear arguments and evidence, reject life after death. Their denial of resurrection by the unbelievers, in a way, amounts to a claim that their lives and souls are under their own control and they had a say in the matter of life and death. In order to refute this assumption, the above verses give the example of a dying person. When the soul reaches his throat, all of his near and dear ones look at him and express their desire that he may live longer, but none of them is able to intervene and save his life. All the people around him seem absolutely helpless. However, Allah is nearer to the dying person than the people around him, even though they are unable to see him. In other words, that is, he is nearer to him in terms of knowledge and power. He is fully aware of the person's inner and outer conditions, and has complete control over him. In short, it is not within people's power to get together and save a soul or life. Allah is nearer to a dying person than his soul or life. Allah has designated a particular time for the soul to be separated from the body. None can avert it. In view of this graphic picture, the disbelievers are reminded that if they think that they cannot be resurrected after death, and they are too strong to come under Allah's grasp, then they must restore the soul when it has reached the throat and is about to depart from the body, or it has already departed and died. If it is not possible to do any of these, how illogical or irrational it is for man to think that he can escape the divine grasp and reject life after death.
And you are at that time looking on.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 83, for the Tafsir.
And our angels are nearer to him than you, but you do not see.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 83, for the Tafsir.
Then why do you not, if you are not to be recompensed?
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 83, for the Tafsir.
Bring it back, if you should be truthful.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 83, for the Tafsir.
And if the deceased was of those brought near to Allah,
so, in case the dying person is from among those blessed with nearness. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 88. In the foregoing verses, it was made clear that one day the present world will come to an end. It was also testified that at the time of death the near and dear ones, friends and relatives, and doctors all stand helplessly around the dying person. Likewise, resurrection, reckoning, and reward and punishment after account of deeds are all a reality and certainty of the highest degree. At the commencement of the surah, it was mentioned that there will be 3 categories of the people in regard to their reward or punishment. The gist of this subject is again summarized here. If the dying person is among the foremost believers, he will experience comfort, fragrance of happiness, and a garden of bliss. If he is not from the foremost, but from the people of the right hand, i.e. from the general body of believers, he will also experience the bounties and pleasures of paradise. But if he is one of the people of the left hand, the deniers and the deviant ones, then he will be in the blazing fire of hell, where he will be served with boiling water to drink.
then for him is rest and bounty and a garden of pleasure.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 88, for the Tafsir.
And if he was of the companions of the right,
see Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 88, for the Tafsir.
then the angels will say, Peace for you, you are from the companions of the right.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 88, for the Tafsir.
But if he was of the deniers who were astray,
see Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 88, for the Tafsir.
then for him is accommodation of scalding water.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 88, for the Tafsir.
And burning in hell fire.
See Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 88, for the Tafsir.
Indeed, this is the true certainty.
At the end of this subject, the Quran says, Indeed, this is certainty in its true sense. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 95. None of the reward or punishment mentioned in the preceding verses is refutable because they are a dead certainty that has no room for any doubt or suspicion.
So exalt the name of your Lord, the Most Great.
So proclaim the purity of the name of your Lord, the Magnificent. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Ayah 96. The surah concludes with an imperative address to the Messenger of Allah to pronounce the tasbih of his Lord. This includes all kinds of tasbihat, remembrances within Salah and outside Salah. Salah itself is sometimes referred to as tasbih. Thus this verse enjoins to keep up the regular performance of Salah.